numerous, and then the state will have to prioritize all the needs. And so we are doing our best to make sure that people still depend on water. Even the tanker services, most of them, if you don't get water running through your pipe,
right,
and you have a tanker, they're going to take water from Ghana Water Company. And so we are doing our best to make sure that everybody is covered with potable water.
Why are people paying so much for water?
People are not paying so much for water.
That's what the people say on the streets.
That is what they feel.
Water is expensive.
That is what they feel. Because if you are not in the kitchen, you don't see how hot it is to prepare food for people. And so we charge based on the cost of our production. And as a business, unfortunately for us, we do not have the capacity also to transfer whatever cost that we incur to the customer. There is an independent regulator who will look at your numbers after the facts. After the facts, that they look at the documents and now determine whether these are justifiable expenditures or not. And once they are not part of your business, they will not understand fully what goes through your processes. And for that matter, they will give you a tariff that will not reflect the cost that you incur. As a people, we must also blame ourselves for the current problems of Ghana Water Company.
Why?
Because in the past, we thought water could be free. Government invests in the water projects. There's no allocation from citizens in trying to maintain the systems. So
how do you mean?
Because if you give water free to people, how do you maintain the machines that you have put in there? How do you set out some money in such a way that when the life of that machine that you brought is over, you are able to replace it without even going for any other loan? And all these are supposed to be part of the processes that become tariff. And we thought water could be given free. Historically, not until 1983, when Ghana embarked on economic recovery program, the rural areas never paid for water. And the urban areas, the water supply was subsidized. The operations of Ghana Water and Sewage Corporation was subsidized up to 50%.
Right.
And so you go to Tema Booster today, and we are still running systems that they installed in 1965. One, the efficiency is down, and so you are going to use more electricity. So you have high cost of electricity. The pipeline between Pong and Tema Booster was laid in 1965, and it's a steel pipe. Under normal circumstances, within 30 years, you should replace it.
Because it will rust.
Exactly. And the layers will peel off. But we are still running it. Go to Nchabang, 1928 systems are still running.
But that's dangerous because of if the water goes through those pipes.
So how do you change it? So you need investment. How do you get the investment? Government goes to take a loan, or you transfer the costs onto the system to be able to. So these are the challenges that I'm saying, that it is as a system, Ghanaians, whoever, whether the managers of the water utility, whether the government, whether the regulators, whoever, we're all part of it, that we wanted things in a way that did not sustain the system that we operate. And I think that gradually, we're moving on to try to sustain the operations. And so today, Clifford Braimah is Managing Director of Ghana Water Company. Hughes is looking for an efficiency of, say, 98%.
Right.
But in the past 50 years, the system that Clifford Braimah is managing today was run down. And so he has to take care of the 50 years problem. He has to take care of the problem of today. And if he's not selfish, he has to be thinking of tomorrow, how that system in his absence can also sustain the system. And so you meet a range of problems, huge issues that you have to. And if you are not tactical, you are not careful, you break down.
Engineer, was there ever free water during COVID?
Of course, there was free water.
There was.
I had one customer. I had one customer. And one customer was government. That I bill all citizens and then take the bill, instead of bringing the individual bills to you, I carry the bill to Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance pays for it. And so you as a citizen did not pay for it. but government paid for it. And I said it, I'm sure
But government is by the people, for
exactly.
the people.
So I even said it in the studio here, and that people should not misuse the water because they hear it is free. It is free for them.
Hot issues.
Yes, it
when
is,
I hosted you.
Yes, it was free for them, but it wasn't free for government. Government will have to go and take money from somewhere and pay for it because it required money to get the water to the people. And so for government to sustain Ghana Water Company, they must pay what you should have paid. So in your home, in your budget setting, you didn't have a cost for water. But government had additional costs on its budget, that is water. That when you were paying, they didn't have as a line item.
But did the people pay for the water eventually?
That's how states are run. That's whatever, even the road that you move on, you don't pay for it. But,
so how then do you call it free?
Because if we remember, immediately afterwards, the bills that we're paying...
I think these are not reasons for me sitting here.
Well, I know. I mean,
these are policy issues.
But once you answer,
and the state, so it means that there's no free education. It means that there's no free education.
So there was no free water.
So there's no free health care. And for that one, there's free nothing. Even I told you off studio that I tell you, and I've been using that as an example to get some information out. I tell my directors today, if God should come down and tell us that heaven gates are now free, you don't need to go to church on Sunday, how many of you will go to church? Nobody.
Helen says she will go.
She will not go. I tell you, she will not go. She will want to rest because she would have come here to work so tired that she will want to rest. So she will not go. And so there's nothing called free anywhere. Somebody must pay for it. But in your budget, are you taking care of it or you are not taking care of it? If you are taking care of it remotely, that's another thing. Those analyses can come. We can continue even death. We can say that death is not even there. Because when you die, you turn into another material that is used. And so you continue to live.
But when the conversation about free water comes up, the chunk of the blame comes to Ghana Water Company. That, well, you told us the water is free. Now we are paying, because your people will bring the bills, like William is explaining. I mean, post-COVID, post the lockdown and all of that, when the bills started coming in, we started seeing very huge figures.
Yes, they said it was
very huge figures.
And that was, and we're going to pay for it. I was here again, watching this radio station to explain. I was at Joy FM to explain. Some of our people, because it was free, didn't control the consumption. And for me, it is my meter that I know. If you were taking 200 cubic meters, and because it was free, it jumped to 400, you might not be reading the meter. So if I come and it's no longer 200 that you had post-COVID, and it is 400, I'll bill you on the 400.
Did you explain this to the people, the customers?
That's why we had to complete education. You can't go to people's home and tell them what are their responsibilities. Some of them, it's not possible. You can't do your education to some level, but the nitty-gritties, you can't do that. And so that's why we continue to tell them that the water that you thought was free, yes, was free to your budget, but it was not free to the state because somebody else was paying for it.
I'm finding it difficult to understand you. You're trying this, you're separating the state from government, from individuals.
John, March 16, 2021, that's a year after COVID.
Right.
Information Minister Kojo Ponkroma has indicated that Ghanaians would have to pay for the free provision of water and electricity introduced by the government in 2020 as part of measures to curb the spread of the novel coronavirus.
So paid through where? Where did you
the bill that came?
And I want to tell you, and I can tell you, you can call PURC now, there was nothing on the line item of our tariff proposal that was to recoup the expenditure on, because I didn't have any additional expenditure. If government wants to recoup that money, it might come through taxes, not the water tariff.
Anyway.
And there are no taxes on our tariff. And so nobody paid for the water.
But that's what we're
on the tariff.
Okay.
So probably the bills following
we did not. And that's what I can tell you. You can call the regulator now to ask whether on the proposal that Ghana Water Company indicated, or electricity, whether there was a line item that is to recover the free water.
The free water. Okay.
Exactly. If it is not there, it is not there. So you can push it into it if it is taxes. If it is taxes, then GRA must answer for it.
We'll come to wastages and leakages, but listen to Kojo Ponkroma.
Spend the fiscal impact of COVID, about 19 billion cedis to respond to COVID. And we did not necessarily charge the Ghanaian for it. We had to borrow. We had to take money from the Bank of Ghana to deal with the COVID pandemic. That's why today articles are being published around the world commending Ghana as one of the best response countries. But that 19 billion cedis has to be paid for at some point. The liabilities we have incurred has to be paid for. COVID expenses are going to be with us at least for the medium term.
Does the 19 billion include the free water and electricity?
It does. It's part of COVID-related expenses.
No, but you gave us that one hand and you're taking it back the other.
No, we were in the midst of a crisis and government had to front load.
You said it was free.
But it's free to you. It wasn't free to the treasury. It wasn't free to the treasury.
I'm lost here.
No, so when we say free electricity, it doesn't mean that the IPP producer is also going to say, because the president has said free electricity, I won't charge the country for it.
The government will have to pay.
The government will have to pay.
Yeah, but I'm saying that you are now in 2021.
Yes.
You now want us to pay for it.
I'm saying the government, for example, had to borrow money, the fiscal impact about 19 billion, to make all of those expenses happen. In addition to that, there are going to be expenses in the medium term because of COVID. The government is asking a question. Can we continue to accommodate this COVID black hole in this already widening gap of our finances? Or do we have to introduce a revenue handle that can take care of it? And the government comes to a view that, with the greatest of respect, can we take 1% VAT to pay for that so that COVID does not become an ever-burdening expenditure item for us?
Yep. So we're paying for it.
So-called GRA to come and answer.
Yes,
not to Ghana Water Company.
Yeah,
I did not take that money.
You did not take from the customers.
Not at all.
You took from the state.
And the GRA's activities do not influence our tariff.
I see.
And so it is not with us.
There's a real time issue that somebody just sent. It says I applied for a meter in February. They had to come for the inspection in a few days after I submitted the application, but they kept postponing because they said there was no car. I eventually had to pay their transportation for them to come. That one aside, I eventually got the estimate for the meter, including TNT, for them to come and fix it. When the estimate was ready, they called me to say I had to pay it within 5 working days or else it can change. That's increased. So I rushed to pay. They gave me 2 receipts. For the full cost of the meter, one for the full cost of the meter and one for transportation cost. And it is clearly stated that they will come fix the meter within 10 days on the payment. As we speak, the 10 days elapsed last Thursday. And whenever I call the engineer, he tells me there is no car. My meter is still not fixed and I can't pay another TNT that I have already paid for. Please ask him why we, as paying customers, have to go through this. In other jurisdictions, nobody pays for meters because even though we pay, they still belong to Ghana Water. They are like SIM cards. Once they are installed, Ghana Water starts to make money. It's from Accra Northeast District Office, Legon, that area. Engineer,
you see, these are practical issues,
right,
that I keep telling people when I come on radio. The radio station, there are more than 100 radio stations in Accra. Today, how many Ghana Water Company staff are listening? Probably today that I'm here, they will be focused. Exactly.
They'll be following the boss.
Where you go to report this, it's either the district office, the regional office, or you call the call center. And these are things that are logged on. And my number is a public notice because I've been using my number for more than 25 years now. I have not changed it. And so people send personal complaints to me. And when they send a complaint to me, I am on several platforms with them. You put it there, they'll go and rectify it. These are not things that we tolerate. And so if there are issues, go to the office and report it. But if you begin to talk about it on radio and nobody picks it up, it's difficult to resolve. So now he has done this. I think you should just forward it to me. Right. He should add his number, forward it to me, and I'll forward it on the platform. And he should call back and tell you how long it took them from today to resolve.
But engineer, how is it that a system that's functioned, I pay within 5 working days, the meter is supposed to be fixed within 10 days, it's stated on the receipt, and I have to go chasing it again? I don't know why.
I think if you go into public service, like some of us who came from academia, and I've been telling people that if I hadn't come into the system you sit somewhere and begin to blame people for not performing. And coming into the system, you have several issues to confront with, not just the work itself. You have several issues to confront with. And so, you are,
like what?
You are looking at attitudes of people, and you are looking at the interests of people, whether they look at the interests of the group, the individual interests. How are you able to make them forget about the individual interests, think about the good of the people? So these are general issues. So these are attitudinal issues. They are not, and it's difficult to change attitudes.
Is there no system to regulate and supervise that? I pay within 5 working days.
Exactly.
And then it is locked in. Within 10 days, my meter has to be fixed. Whether people have bad attitude or not.
Yes, I can tell you.
Why do I need to wait?
Mr. Hughes, you can tell me directly that in this organization, that is private, you still have some of these problems. There's a general Ghanaian attitude on some of these works that we do. We have improved drastically. We cannot say, but we are not there yet. And I keep telling people, we are embarking on very serious change management issues, but we are not getting it as easy as we want. I just challenge you.
Okay.
Send the person's message to me, add his number. If you want, he should send the location.
Okay.
Then I forward it on the platform. And then he should call you back.
That's because it's coming from you. But what about those who do not know people in big places, may not have access to radio?
That is what we are trying to correct.
The system has to work on its own and function optimally.
That is, we are operating within a system.
How long do we before we get there?
I said we are operating within a system.
How long do we have to wait before we get there?
The system itself in totality will have to operate. Ghana Water Company is not operating in isolation. It's operating within the system of Ghana.
Do you have vehicles that your operatives use?
We have vehicles.
Because she paid for TNT three times already.
We have vehicles.
And it isn't normal for people to pay for TNT. If I apply for a meter, they have to come and inspect. I have to pay for TNT. They say there's no car.
There's no point where you pay TNT, but probably it's cost build up. And so it could be built into the cost, but might not be seen as being TNT. It could be seen as TNT.
But this person says she paid separately.
And then it was receipted.
Yes, separately.
Exactly.
TNT.
So for me, probably that's the district's arrangement, which is something that because new service connection is handled at the lower level. We look at the policy issues, but this is handled at the district level. At best, it goes to the regional level, they monitor. But we do not allow more than 14 days.
Engineer, why do I have to pay for the meter? Because she's explaining that still is your property.
Exactly. So
why do I have to pay for it?
We have gotten, for a new meter, you pay for it because it's part of the infrastructure that is built for you to get the connection. But since I got to Ghana Water Company, I have been into a conversation with PURC that is a property of Ghana Water Company. So instead of it being the responsibility of the customer immediately, why don't I factor it as my operational cost so that the meter becomes a regulated item? PURC has agreed with it. And going forward, the meter is going to be free. But it's free when you are going to replace it for you. I use this analogy. You go to the filling station to take fuel. Then when they give you a receipt, the cost of the pump is indicated. How are you going to find it? It will be odd. Because it's part of the infrastructure that is supposed to. So it goes into the cost of running the fuel station. So it shouldn't come out as a line item. You are paying for it, but you are not paying for it as a line item. You are paying for it because it has been captured as the cost. And when it's distributed across the volume of water that we produce, then it comes minimal. And for that matter, everybody across will pay for it, and you can use it to maintain it. PURC has bought into it. They have given approval. So going forward,
when are we to see a full implementation of that?
Even if you look at it now, I don't think the cost of, I don't know how much it is. It cannot go beyond even the 200 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Yes. Because we still need some amount of money for some additional cost. But the meter, which is costing about $250, you go and pay 200 cedis. is almost
Let's talk about wastage and leakages. You go right through town, you see best pipes and leakages and all of that. Do you have a mechanism to deal with that? Because some hold the view that, look, we allow for all these leakages to happen, and then the next moment you go to PRC and say, oh, it's costing us so much to treat the water, you have to push the tariff up, and the PRC will push it up for you.
Like I started in my preliminary comments, we are running a very old infrastructure. There are some pipes, if you go to the central part of Accra, like Choco and Jamestown, this is the old Accra. The pipes have encrusted because they are still pipes. A pipe of a size of say 200 or millimeters has reduced to say 50 millimeters because that's encrusted. So the volume of water that a 200 millimeter pipe can carry will not be the same as the volume that a 50 millimeter will carry. It will carry less. And so some of the challenges are that because it's old infrastructure, and this involved, and even today, if we even have money for the pipes to change, compensation to get people's properties off to lay those pipes will be additional cost. And so we are trying as much as possible to mend where the leakages happen before we will take care of replacing it. We are embarking on some AC pipes, the asbestos pipes replacements. And I just looked at the project yesterday, so I mean the document yesterday, and we'll roll it out. But how much can we do at a time? Thankful to PRC, they have given us some level of amount on our capital maintenance cost, which we are going to invest into that. These are reasons why we need people to report to us. Because there are technologies that you can place on your pipelines. You sit in the office, you can monitor wherever there's a leakage and you can run there. But you cannot build that infrastructure on such weak pipelines because it's an investment that is huge. You cannot go put it every day, everywhere, you'll be seeing the leakages. So we now depend on the generosity of Ghanaians. But there are new areas that necessarily do not have these old encrusted pipes. And that's why they also do not have those leakages that much. How much is the Ghana Water Company owed by government? Do you know? Government used to owe a lot, but with the coming of the ESLA, government is using the ESLA to defray the costs. And the last count, and normally the ESLA goes to ECG. So once they pay on our behalf, we credit the government accounts and then spread it across all the government institutions to get some of these things off. And so as we sit now, the indebtedness has come down drastically because the last payment of about 430 million Ghana cedis was put on the ESLA to VRA. ECG. Okay. So we also now credited the accounts of government to bring that down. So if government owes us now, I don't think it will be up to... Do you owe ECG? Because they're going around collecting their monies. Yes, of course, we owe ECG. You owe ECG? We owe ECG, and we owe ECG on our production centers. Have they tried to disconnect you in the recent... I heard a radio station, but nobody has mentioned that to me. And I think it might be miscommunication. Because would you be surprised if ECG disconnects you? I would be surprised. Why? Because if they disconnect, it means that they are denying everybody water. But you owe them. Lawyer Mahama says he wants money like Engineer Clifford, Braimah. And it doesn't mean without my payment he's not going to run. Let's what I'm saying is that the offices of Ghana Water Company are paid for by the regions, and we allocate the money. At the head office, we pay for the production centers. Government pays ECG through ESLA on our behalf. And so we use those things to smoothen out, and ECG is aware that the volumes of indebtedness that Ghana Water Company used to have on them is reducing. It's reduced drastically. Okay. and we've maintained, because our production centers is 25 million every month
for each.
For power.
Wow.
For ECG, Greco, Nedco, VRA.
25 million.
25 million.
Every month.
25
Yes.
million cedis.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you look at what we collect from you, and that is why when you resist the collection, the payment, it creates a lot of problems. And when we come after you, and people think that you are not being friendly. When you see another person taking the water illegally, he's reducing the volume that I can sell. And so the amount of money that will come to Ghana Water Company will not be there. And so these are the attitudes that I'm talking of, just not the workers of Ghana Water Company, the system problems that we need to deal with to be able to resolve some of this. It's huge. So we owe ECG, like VRA, they also owe us in a way. Sometimes VRA will say that, okay, let's swap the debts.
Okay.
By just that, anytime you swap with them, you are always at the losing end because you will have excess to pay. You can just imagine the last tariff that was given. PRC gave ECG almost a 30%, 29.92%, and gave Ghana Water Company 8.3%. And that 8.3% has not come into the cost of our operations. Because the electricity has gone up, which is an input to our production. The 8.3% is to take care of that increase.
Okay.
So at the end of it,
You are not getting anything really.
No, I've not gotten.
But engineer, how much does industry owe you, if you know?
Oh, for the industries, they used to, but now we cannot give them the opportunity. Some of them 3 months. And so, but even the 3 months we think is too much.
But which
it cannot be more than 30 days because we are a post-paid system. Because you drink before. So our system itself is made for arrears.
Okay.
Because you drink before I come. And in coming to you, because you have to finish drinking, I have to come and check how much you have drunk. Then go back to the office and process
compute it,
and then the volumes into money.
And that takes time.
Then come to you with the bill, notify you that look, you consume this. Then you also now prepare and come. So on itself,
is the water company thinking of a prepaid?
Yes, we are piloting some prepaid, but it's not that easy as electricity because we are running water, but they are running power.
Right.
And so any system that I want to put to be able to run the prepaid has to be powered. So I need additional costs of power
to be able to handle it.
Exactly. So it's not as easy. And also, because we don't supply 24/7, you might have some morality issues to deal with. That somebody gives you his money. You have the money of the customer, but you don't have the product. Because the efficiency of Ghana Water Company depends on other agencies. So inefficiency of other agencies compounds on us because we are not isolated.
You need power to be able to pump the water.
Exactly. So immediately we are 100% on the national grid. When the electricity goes off, you cannot.
Are you thinking of solar?
We are thinking of we're having a discussion with we power. I think by government policy they've been given the mandates to look at renewable energy.
Right.
So we are into talks with them. I think we've had several meetings. My team, they have a team and we have a team. They've been discussing it, but they haven't come up with the final paper. So we are thinking about it because we have platforms, which is our reservoirs, that they can put the solar panels on for us too.
Who owes you more, private sector, public sector?
Oh, no, it's the private sector. I mean, not the private sector, is what's it called? The private customers.
Private customers.
You people.
The
Individuals, one-on-one.
And your unit rates is the one that is smaller. And so I keep telling our people, if you want to talk business, probably it's better I give the private customer once in a month and take all to the businesses. Because they pay, they consume more, and they have a higher rate.
What about the ministries, departments, and agencies? Do they owe you that much?
We've been able to bring it down because of the government's the ESLA process. Yes.
Engineer, I wanted to find out. I understand. I mean, blood, for instance, in terms of the economy, water and electricity constitute the blood that runs through the veins of any economy.
Yes.
How much coverage do we have in terms of water supply in Ghana today? Are you aware?
Oh, I think we have. These are technical terms. Access, coverage, and all those. It depends on what you say.
Yeah.
I'd say that if you come to Accra, alternative sources are limited. Alternative sources, where people can go if they are not on Ghana water
and find water to drink.
Find water. Most of them are polluted, and if the groundwater is saline because of sea intrusion, exactly. And so even the tanker services are using Ghana water company water. So you can say that if it is coverage. People who have access to water, clean water, all the water is coming from Ghana Water Company. And because of that, I am meeting tomorrow. Today is Thursday.
Yes, it is.
At 2:00, I'll be having a meeting with.
Have a big meeting.
A big meeting with the tanker services because I want to bring them to our fold. Once you want to distribute water for people to drink, Ghana Water Company should take control to regulate you,
so that the quality is guaranteed.
Exactly, so that we can disinfect. Your tanks every 6 months. We can check how much we sell to you and what your profit margin should be, so that you don't come and take water from me 2 cedis, go and sell it 100 cedis, and tell the customer that because of electricity, because of fuel, because of spare parts, that's why the 2 cedis Ghana Water Company water has moved to 100 cedis.
I see.
Because it has to be regulated. So
is that something that you're seeing happening at this time?
Of course.
Big margins
of course. This is why even now, they have issues because we are not regulating them. We have decided that we will sell the water to them as we sell to people who sell our water.
Okay.
And they now think that it's very high because it's reducing their
somebody raised a question.
So we need to come together about, and then we can look at a reasonable tariff that the end user will have to.
So somebody raised a question about COVID.
Let me land this before.
Right. Sorry about that.
One officer, a retired officer of public service, called me one afternoon because construction of roads normally disrupt our pipelines.
That's right.
So disrupted the lines going to his house. And because of that, every week he spent 600 Ghana cedis
water tanker.
So in a month, he's going to spend 2,400. And the rate Ghana Water Company was charging him on monthly basis was less than 400 Ghana cedis. So the opportunity cost of Ghana Water Company not supplying water to him at the less than 400 Ghana cedis is the 2,400. Who is benefiting? The water tanker in the private sector. Was it a statistical service before our first tariff increase in September came out with their reports, and I had a discussion with my managers on that. Water inflation was about 49%.
And what does that mean?
At that time, we had to increase our tariff. So it means that the private sector is taking advantage of our inability to go. And that is what happens everywhere. That if the public sector supplier is not made to be efficient, the people who don't have our supply, some of them pay multiple times, sometimes 10 times what they would have taken from us. And so that's why in all nations, they focus on making sure that that public utility that gives water or electricity are efficient. So the state will spend a little more to make them more efficient. But in this country, the issue of free things have become so good that people don't know that take it free today, there's a cost for it tomorrow.
Engineer, talking about free, during the COVID time, we spoke about water tankers. Yes. We spoke about free water in homes were already connected. And then there are people in the communities who sell water.
Yes.
Well, there was some arrangement that they were going to give the water out to the people for free and then present a bill or rationalize. And some say they are still owed. Is that correct?
Probably not Ghana Water Company once. Because, you see, whilst we were doing it, community water was running this. And so if you don't look at them clearly, you might mix them. And if you go to the community water systems also, some are run by private operators. Some are run by NGOs.
Right.
Some are run by the sector. Our minister has been having discussions with all of us to see how we can bring.
Do you know if we have paid all the people?
No, I forgot Ghana Water Company. I know we have paid.
You have paid everybody.
Yes,
okay.
we have paid everybody.
There's a question here that I'll read to you. It's on Facebook. It's on our live Facebook stream. It says Abdulaziz Jericho Jr. says the water situation in Tamale Metro is extremely bad. I didn't know this until I moved to Tamale 2.5 years ago. For the period that I've been here, I have seen water flow from my taps just once, and it didn't last up to 10 minutes. I spend 450 Ghana cedis every 1 or 2 months. I'm sure the Tamale problem is not unbeknown to Dr. Clifford, and he's been in Tamale for the greater part of his professional life as a lecturer at Tatu, being at the helm of affairs at the Ghana Water Company Limited for the past 5+ years now. Can you tell me what plans are in store to change this disturbing narrative in the region? Please ask him.
Yes.
So I'm asking you.
It's an interesting. People get to me every day. The Tamale issue is peculiar because the population of Tamale has outgrown the current system. The system that we have in Tamale is full capacity is 45,000 cubic meters a day. And if you look at it, and that maybe individuals are supposed to even consume, let's take 100 liters per person per day. What will be the loss of this if they are running even a 45% loss? So it means that 55% of 45,000 will be the volume of water. That's about, say, 30,000 cubic meters. But because of the fluctuation of power, that's what I said, efficiency of other systems, to Ghana Water Company, there are points they run 16,000 cubic meters a day. And this 16,000 cubic meters will go through the system, and the system, because the infrastructure is old, there will still be losses. So it's not the 16,000 out of the 45,000 that's even going to get into town. How many people can you serve with this? And the problem of Tamale, again, is that because the water comes from a particular area, that's Dalon, on the main line, people had this notion that, if you settle at this part of Tamale, you get regular flow of water.
Right.
Because that's where the water comes from.
Okay. So they want to settle by the water.
As people have moved to that direction, such a way that the population of that area will consume all the water. It will not even get into town.
I see.
I get it.
I get it.
So what government had done in Ghana Water Company is to now look for an alternative source of water into Tamale from Yapi, so that this 45,000, what is coming from Yapi to Tamale is 135,000.
Okay.
So if we're supposed to rehabilitate the 45,000 to bring it to its capacity, making it 180,000 cubic meters of water, which is huge, and everybody in Tamale will have water. We have done all the processes. Last year, November, the contractor was supposed to be on site.
And then what happened?
The Deutsche Bank had brought the financial agreement with, they even saw some mistakes, studied by Kuria, Minister of Finance worked on it, sent it back, and they said because government had not paid some of the loans, they are not ready to kick in the project. And so the current financial difficulties the country is facing is what had stalled that one and Damango. Otherwise, November last year, this project...
So what's the new plan?
The new plan is we're just hoping that with the IMF coming, it will be relaxed, and the banks will now... You see, the bank want to be sure of the payment plan,
right? That
they are going to get back their money. And I'm sure when we agree on this and they now are comfortable, all they will need to do is to pronounce the project live, and then we have the initial money for the contractor, then he'll mobilize to site.
How badly is Galamsey hurting your operations? Galamsey
is hurting us greatly because we first and foremost have to take the sediments out. So the more sediments that are in the water, the more chemicals you have to use to settle them.
Right.
And the less water that you have to push into the system. In some of our stations, when you take 100 liters of water, we expect to treat and get 95 liters. So that 5 liters will be the wastes. Today, out of the 100 liters, in some of the places, 35 liters will go to waste, and we can only have 65.
Really?
And so you are spending more money to get the 65 than you would have spent to get the 95.
Because you have to work on the sediments and all those things.
Exactly. So the cost will continue to. I try to use this analogy so that it can be very easy for you to understand. And it's not only Galamsey. If you go to Weja, where Galamsey activities, by the time the inflows get into Weja Lake, they would have been settled somewhere. Inflow of people's activities and runoffs from the catchment area are those that are pushing it in. That place too is getting polluted. And that's why I keep saying that the attitudes of the Ghanaian affects the operation of the public sector institutions.
The people living on the banks of the Weja River, I mean, Stanley Martin will always say they are living there illegally, because if you check with the assembly, most of them do not actually have permits to build in those places.
Not just illegally, they are living there risky.
Are they affecting the integrity of the dam?
They're affecting the integrity of the dam also, but not marginally. But they are affecting the integrity of the quality of the water. Yes, that's for that one. But for the dam, it continues to be there. It's just that because of the siltation, the levels build up faster than they should build. Because it's like a bowl. If you begin to put mud in the bowl, the volume of water that the bowl can contain will be reduced. So if the same inflows, it's very easy for it to overflow. And those downstream are living dangerously, because we don't control the rainfall in the catchment area. But we can only control the spillway. And we cannot risk the life of entire Ghanaians to the life of illegal occupants of the area.
There's Operation Galam Stop, Operation Vanguard, Operation Halt 1 and 2 in respect of Galamsey. And you say 35% of what you collect is not usable. Does it give you an impression that there really is a fight against Galamsey?
You see, the Galamsey fight is more complex than we see.
How do you mean?
Because we, at our intakes, sometimes during the day, coming to the evening, the water becomes a bit clearer. And early mornings, then you begin to see the turbidity going up and up. What it means directly for those of us operating is that people work in the night. People work in the night. And so the Galamsey people fight, they will go there during the day with their vehicles and move around and nobody is seen. And they come back, the report is that they found nobody. But in the night, so what minister is doing with us now is to take regular turbidity levels.
Okay.
At all times. Then she can now feed cabinets with the changes. We just sent our recent reports to her. Water Resources has brought, and Ghana Water Company also sent, so she will compare. Then she can make a statement.
Real-time figures.
Exactly. So that we otherwise, we will just be thinking that we are working, and once you go to sleep,
somebody is digging.
Because when you are not sleeping, and you are watching them, they decide to go and sleep. And that's why we think that the communities must directly be involved
in the fight against Galamsey.
Exactly. You know, there was an issue in Chebi sometime.
Yeah.
On Galamsey.
When the chiefs organized it. Yeah.
Because for 4 days, the levels of turbidity had gone high, and we couldn't pump. Ochihini's house didn't get water. Ghana Water Company was called, and the fact is that the system has shut. Why? Galamsey. So if it touches people that way, the response is different. And to our surprise, the chief on his own stood up. And that's why we keep saying that. You see, when we engage the communities properly, probably maybe we are not engaging them deep enough.
Right.
Probably
they will come in there. Exactly. Well, Kwabena Richmond on Facebook says vehicles, I think, is a big problem with Ghana Water Company Limited, because even when you pay for reconnection and they are supposed to reconnect your service, there's a problem. Kwabena Richmond comes back to say, please ask engineer to explain commercial category of service per Ghana Water Company Limited definition.
Commercial. Yes, commercial. You see, we have residential, non-residential.
Right.
We have commercial, and then we have industrial.
Okay, what's the difference? Quickly.
The commercial, the non-residential, if you go to a church or a mosque, they are not using our water to do any business. But commercial are
some of them sell the water. They add olive oil and things and Florida water and
that one is something they are we believe that they will not do it. So if they decide to do it, that one. But we still see them as non-residential. Commercial are people who are into businesses and they use the water to facilitate their businesses. They are commercial. The industrial are the big industries that operate. So they have different
categories. 0592-928795 and 0208-227-290. 0592-928795 and 0208-227-290. This is the Sunrise Morning Show. Engineer Clifford Braimah of the Ghana Water Company is here. Your questions are welcome. We have a fax caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Sorry about that. You can always call us 0592-928-795 and 0208-227-290. 0592-928-795 and 0208-227-290. Good morning.
Yeah, Johnny. Yes, pleasure, Johnny.
Yes, talk to me.
Yeah, Johnny. You see, the first person we interview him about say coronavirus and Ukraine war. That's why Ghana have to be in difficult. That's why NPP have to take Ghana a percentage to that level. You see, Johnny, want to tell them that war is not in our country. That's the coronavirus came. Me, I day here. I not see inside room. Government not spend any money for me. So government for not take that is make it. I know that one is planting food for job for us. Where come the cost, 10K is costing at the market. If they are making, told them that they are not white people. That's why we vote them out before they are forcing. Now they have power. See, Johnny. So that is a problem.
I thank you. I thank you very much, Precious. Grateful. Afamaku. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Okay. Good morning to the master system over there.
Yes, sir.
We had a meter already, but we decided to drill a borehole, and we are now using a borehole. But every time they bring us a water bill, we've disconnected our main meter.
Say that again.
But so we disconnected our main water meter.
You disconnected your meter?
No. We went to them. They came there and disconnected it.
But they still bring you bills?
They still bring gas bills.
Hey, where do you live? Where is this?
This is somewhere around Achimota.
Achimota. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I hear you. Thank you. I'll put it.
But every time we have bills, I don't know why they bring it, and they even have a previous balance which we were not owing when they.
You have not consumed water, but you have previous balance in the bill.
Exactly. So I don't understand.
I will put it to engineer. Good morning.
Good morning. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Kosamid, talk to me.
God bless you.
Yes, sir.
My question is about the customer service. I think if you come to the ECD, if something happens right now, everybody in the community, if you know the number, they will call ECD to complain. But when it comes to water, no, it's very difficult to get there.
I think rather than yes, you may be right on 0302611611 for ECG. I remember that when I was at TV Africa, I made a strong in something that ECG is yet to copy. Ghana Water now has a toll-free number. So when you call, you don't pay. ECG, you pay. And I impressed upon Stanley Marty a long time ago at TV Africa, and they got that. ECG must learn that. But I agree with you that the numbers are not readily off head. It's something that the water company must work on.
Thank you. Let me end up with Richard. I think the students, this is sometimes with Ghanaians. It seems they don't care about what is happening.
They should sympathize with us.
They have to sympathize with us.
How?
Not only, look, we have parents who are also in this difficulty. You don't introduce things at all, as you are saying, all people are saying that we don't want it. I decided I'll bring it. Look, not only VAT that was rejected during this. I remember Get Fund. I remember before even the Get Fund, when the government wanted to add student user fee, just a little percentage of what the students were paying. You remember the mobile demonstration?
Because we have to go.
To draw back. But this government is saying, they don't care. No matter what happens, I will do it. And this is what is happening.
Because we have to go. Thank you very much indeed. Our final caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny. How are you?
I'm greater than Accra. Talk to me.
That's a big punchline. That's great. Yeah, I'm. Thank you for this program and this initiative. I want to ask the officer in your studio a question. I live in a residence whereby there is a crèche. It used to be very functional in the past, but for the past 5 years, it's not really functional. The children in the daycare are less than 10. They are less than 10. But yet the residence water meter is on commercial. And then the rates that comes are really outrageous. The last bill we received was over 2,000 Ghana cedis. I want to find out, since he was classifying what falls under residential and commercial and industrial and all of that, with our issue, where would it fall? Is it going to be residential or is it commercial? Because if it is commercial, like he was explaining, we don't use water, we don't run water business here. And the kids don't drink water. They are in Pampers. They don't really use water.
Your point is well made. Thank you. Thank you very much. Grateful. Engineer, 2 questions. One, who is not consuming water? Meter has been disconnected, but is getting bills and balance brought forward. Okum Chola is a miracle.
That's why when he was talking, I was laughing. You see, if Ghana Water Company disconnects you, on our own, our customer care assistants still go to check the meter.
Whether you are reconnected or not.
We don't, if the meter was on 100 and we come to read and it's now 150, it's like we have consumed 50.
Right.
And so we'll bill you for the 50. And so they should also check their meter. If the meter numbers have changed, then they have consumed. It means that it was not disconnected. Either they disconnected or somebody had made another line.
Some bypass somewhere.
Probably after the meter. And so the meter is reading. Then they should know about it. So as for the plumbing internally of a customer, it's not the responsibility of Ghana Water Company. So for us, our representative in your home is our meter. So when we come and the meter reads 1, we'll bill you the 1. If it reads 1,000, we'll bill you the 1,000. And so if there are leakages in your house and it is going after our meter, it's you who is consuming it. The school,
yeah.
Yes, the school is a private school. So it's a commercial entity.
But these are children who are in Pampers.
It's not. We don't have it in our categorization.
It used to be very functional. That's why they were.
But we do not take. We did not make it so.
Can anything be done for them?
It cannot be done now. It can only be done if the category changes to domestic. But it cannot be domestic if they even are training one person on commercial.
I see.
Entity.
Finally, how do we get your phone lines to be very, very visible?
So if you go to our website, even the district, if you go to our website. Yes.
I live in a Chimamponua, some corner like that. My internet connectivity is not.
The telephone penetration in Ghana?
I didn't say telephone penetration. You are talking about websites. That's
I'm telling you that who in Ghana is no longer using WhatsApp.
Okay.
So there are internet services. So that's what I'm saying. Telephone penetration. Let's not reduce running of some of these things to institutional problems alone.
Okay.
Because if you go to the website, even now, NDC filing of their forms was not online.
Yeah.
So people at those could not have accessed the lines. So let's use the internet.
Use the internet.
The infrastructure is there. Okay. So let's use it.
I see. Engineer Clifford Braimah.
Thank you very much.
My friend who has abandoned me for a long time finally appears in flesh and blood. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best for your meeting this afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Grateful. My name is Johnny Hughes. Thank you very much indeed for joining. And William, Esidu, Helen Apiampof, on behalf of the rest of the team, 6-2's Don Ulo, Selwyn, Asoreba, Mamea, Janet, and DJ Phil. Solution Set Tagbaiza. We'll see you tomorrow.